Hey everyone, so it's Chris here, and I want to talk to you about what's going on Lucasfilm. We're all fans of the same thing, and we all want the same thing. It sucks that we're not getting the same thing. And you guys are angry for a reason. There's something I want to say to all of you. I don't have a lot of videos because I don't really have a lot to say. I want to talk to you. But I can't just sit in a room and have a conversation with you guys, you know? So it gets really hard to connect. But Lucasfilm, let's face it, what are they doing? Why are they calling us names and making us feel bad about something we love? It makes no sense because we disagree with the way you do things. Lucasfilm, that's not the way to do it. You don't disregard your fan base and call them out when they disagree with the way you do things. That's not proper manners. You know, it's like having a party at your house and somebody disagrees with you and you just punch them in the face. Just out of nowhere. Why did you do that? Why do you repeatedly punch us in the face? We're trying to tell you something important. I'm with the fans on this one. There's a lot of things wrong with the way you're doing things and we don't agree. I know it's a lot to ask, but it kind of isn't. It really isn't a lot to ask. What we're trying to ask you to do is just make a good movie with great writing, great characters. You don't need to kill off our characters, and if you do, give it some meaning. See, I was okay with Leia dying in space. I was okay with it. I knew that The Last Jedi had to kill her, had to kill her off because Carrie Fisher is dead. She died, right? And so the movie itself had to kill her off because she's not going to be alive for episode 9. But the way it happened was unbelievable. I was okay with her, blasting out into space in an explosion and she was just kind of dead in space, just floating around. But then she came back to life. That took me out of the moment. It really did. And it just became one joke after another. The whole movie was nothing but a series of jokes. I could not get into it at all. When Leia was flying through space, it was just... I was like... Why? Why is this happening? Why? Is this for real? Is this really happening? Did she just come back to life? There's so many things wrong with The Last Jedi. I don't want your disappointment of The Last Jedi to hinder Han Solo. But I believe it already has. And that's too bad. I feel like a lot of you are upset at the wrong thing. You're taking all your anger out on Han Solo, calling him Soylo. Soy Wars story? That's a hard thing to say. But that's not Alden Ehrenreich's fault. You don't need to bash the actor. Don't get mad at the actor. Don't get mad at the movie. Be mad at the people in charge of the movie. Soylo? Come on, guys. We're better than this. You guys are literally bashing the thing that we love. We all love Star Wars. And it's still alive. It's still thriving. But the way it's handled, that's what you're mad at. That's what I believe you're mad at. It's the way it's handled. And so you guys are going to boycott a movie, and that really sucks. Because we should be really excited about this movie. I'm excited. I can't wait for the future of Star Wars, but if it goes down like this, it really sucks because I see a lot of similarities of the anger for this generation that my generation felt for the prequels. And there was a lot of hate, a lot of anger for the prequels. But do you want to know why there was so much anger and hate for the prequels? It's because 2 years prior to that, in 1997, the original trilogy was re-released as a special edition. And that was the first time I ever saw Star Wars. And would you know it, I had the luxury to go see it at the movie theater. I don't know if you went to go see it, but if you did, then you know how I feel. And even if you didn't go see it at the movie theater, you still found something about Luke, Han, and Leia, and all of them. You still found something to hold on to. You still found something to connect with. But when I saw it at the movie theater, it absolutely blew my mind. Fantastic stuff. And as soon as the announcement of episode 1 was released, do you remember how exciting it was when you first heard about episode 7 and that first trailer dropped? How amazing it was. That was the same excitement for the Phantom Menace. It was the most exciting time to be a Star Wars fan. When that first teaser for the Phantom Menace dropped, people cheered like it was a concert. And then the second trailer dropped, people went to go see the movie it was featured in just to go see the trailer and then walk out of the movie. They didn't go there to see the movie, they went there to see the trailer for Star Wars. They paid a ticket to go see a trailer and then go home and talk about it with their friends. That is how exciting the Phantom Menace was. And then when the movie came out, it was not what we wanted. But at the time, for me at least, I loved it. I understood that Anakin was going to be a little boy, so it was going to be very different from the original trilogy. I just didn't know how different. The trailers looked absolutely fantastic, and I couldn't wait like everyone else, and we all want to go see it. And it wasn't that great. It felt like a live action cartoon, especially with Jar Jar Binks. If Jar Jar had not been there, I believe this movie would have been a lot better. And I think a lot of you will agree with me. The majority of the fan base absolutely hated it. And they began to make some really good points about it. And I began to see it from their point of view. You see, when we all went to go see it, including myself, we all fanboyed and fangirled, and we all flocked in droves to go see the Phantom Menace. And we cheered. It was exciting. You could find evidence of this on YouTube. Just look up anything about the Phantom Menace, about the premiere, or the trailers, or the reactions to it. It was fantastic. But then it wasn't. And then people really started to doubt George Lucas's ability to direct and write after all these years. All these years. Because think about it. The last time he directed Star Wars was 1977. He didn't direct The Empire Strikes Back. He didn't direct Return of the Jedi. He produced them. He wrote them. He was in charge of them, essentially. He was in charge of them. But he didn't direct it. He didn't direct the sequels to A New Hope. So when The Phantom Menace came out and it wasn't what we expected, it really made us question his ability. And so George Lucas himself disillusioned the franchise. And now it's happening again with Kathleen Kennedy. There's a lot of anger going around, and it's like a mirror reflection of the Phantom Menace. And then Attack of the Clones that came out just 2 years later, 3 years later. And that movie was terrible too. There was a lot of hate because they weren't good movies. Underdeveloped characters, a vague story, and our lead character, Anakin, was really creepy. he was creepy. The way he would look at Padme in those opening minutes, it was just ugh. Everybody hated the way Anakin was portrayed. Everybody hated the overwhelming CGI. There were some crowd pleasers, like with Yoda fighting Count Dooku. That was a lot of fun. The lightsaber duel between Dooku, Anakin, and Obi-Wan. That was a lot of fun. That was cool. That was a lot of fun stuff. But the whole thing with Anakin and Padme out in the field playing and chasing each other, that was just too much, dude. It was just too much. And that's why the micro series comes in handy. The micro series happened because Attack of the Clones was so horrible that we needed a better story. In fact, you could bypass episode 2 altogether and just watch the micro series, and you'll get a much better experience. It's a much better developed story. Anakin is portrayed in a better light, and there's a much deeper story to Anakin. The story introduces Asajj Ventress. Now, I don't know about you, but Asajj Ventress, that was the first time I ever saw her. And not only that, but she's Count Dooku's apprentice, and you see his story develop, you see her story develop. Anakin, the clone troopers, Obi-Wan, they all have a plot. Probably the best thing about the micro series is that it's the debut of General Grievous. We all know him from episode 3, but if you hadn't seen the micro series, then he was just thrown in there, and you would have no idea who he was in Revenge of the Sith. So this series is actually very important. You can bypass episode 2 altogether and just go for the micro series. Watch The Phantom Menace, the micro series, Revenge of the Sith, Rogue One, and then A New Hope. And you'll see, it all connects. It's a much better story anyway. Give it a go. The story is there. And that's the fundamental difference between the prequels and this trilogy. This trilogy does not have a cohesive story. They just throw a bunch of things in there. Now, when The Force Awakens came out, I was really excited, and I saw it 10 times. 10 times. I went to go see it on the IMAX, and it was awesome. Then when I started noticing all the things the fans were pointing out on YouTube, I began to really dislike this movie, The Force Awakens. And it's really hard to watch because it feels like an MCU movie with a Star Wars paint job. Don't even get me started on the MCU. Man, I can do a whole video just on that. Jeez. Maybe a series of videos. That's not a bad idea. Anyways, back to Star Wars. So comparing The Last Jedi with Attack of the Clones, or just the prequels in general, if the fans got a piece, we gotta fill in the missing pieces, then it's not a very well written movie. And the prequels were just like that. And again, with this trilogy, that's what the fans are doing now. We're filling in the blanks. Because it's just not there. The prequels did have a story. It did, but like I said, we had to fill in the blanks because the movie didn't tell us that. I like the idea of Anakin Skywalker being a badass Jedi, but we didn't see a badass Jedi until episode 3. And by then it was too late. So there's a lot of things that could have happened but didn't. And now the same thing is happening with this series of movies. They're trying to construct their own MCU. And it's not working. The Last Jedi totally dropped the ball. I know you guys are really upset. I was really upset what happened to Luke. As I'm sure you guys were. I remember all of your reactions, and it bummed me out. We deserve better than this. We made Lucasfilm what it is. Why don't we take it away? But now it's not up to us anymore. We can only do so much. You can boycott the movie all you want, but someone else is going to see it. Whatever movie you don't see, someone else is going to see it. If the fans are genuine, this movie will bomb. And Kathleen Kennedy will have to open her eyes. Because this is just ridiculous. This is ridiculous. There's name calling. There's finger pointing, a lot of blame. And they're changing characters that are established, that we've known and loved. They're killing characters that we know and love for apparently no reason at all. They killed Han Solo, but that's a little different because Harrison Ford really doesn't want to do Han Solo no more. I could understand that. I'm not upset about Han Solo being murdered, although it does suck and it hurts my feelings, but I accept it because Harrison Ford does not want to do it. He only came back probably for that one reason, because he would die. But what happened to Luke Skywalker was unacceptable. And now they're doing the same thing to Lando Calrissian. They're trying to change a character that was established in 1980, 38 years ago, into something that's fitted for this generation of society. And that really sucks because, they could have just invented a new character for that purpose. They could have invented a new character for that same purpose, gave them a story, and leave Lando alone. Let Lando be Lando. But no, they gotta do this. Because they gotta appeal to other people. And those other people should not be excluded. But there's better ways to go about it than this. Like I just said, you could invent a new character. Write a story about this character and how they fit in to Han Solo and Lando Calrissian. And this whole thing with droid rights, that didn't exist in the old series. It didn't exist at all. And that really sucks too, because now, not only is it with Lando, but now they're trying to insert like the equivalent of gay rights in this world and insert it into Star Wars and call it droid rights. That whole struggle with gay rights when Obama was president, that was history in the making, and I witnessed it firsthand, like I'm sure a lot of you did. And that was something amazing, wasn't it? But real world politics don't belong in a fantasy setting. You could use it as inspiration, sure. I mean, just look at the original trilogy. Look at the Empire. The Empire is like a metaphor for Germany in World War II. Germany had a class of soldiers called stormtroopers. Look it up. It's true. And stormtroopers are in the Imperial Army. They are the Imperial Army. So real world events could be an inspiration. But it doesn't have to be the focus. And Lucasfilm is making it the focus when it doesn't need to be. They could do so many cool things with Star Wars, but they're just not. They're not giving us the Star Wars we all want, they're giving us the Star Wars that they want. And that's not fair to us. There's just a lot of really bad things going on over there. And we don't deserve to hear it. We don't deserve to be called names like bigots and threatened by women because we don't agree with Rey or Holdo or whoever they want to throw at us. But We don't agree with them because they're poorly written characters. There's going to be something else, watch. There's always going to be something else. I don't want to boycott this movie because I don't think that's the right word. Just don't go see it. Don't boycott Star Wars. Boycott Kathleen Kennedy and her influence. Don't be mad at the actor. Don't be mad at the movie. So much similarities between this generation and the prequel generation.